Welcome back to the Nerdy Grail, and this is let's say it's a video that's been a long time coming. We all suspected something, and let's be real, it's all gone downhill ever since the reality war ended last year with that surprise cliffhanger that you can see on the screen of Billie Piper being the post-regeneration face from Ncuti Gatwa. We all knew this was coming. I was in work at the time when this news was announced, and I thought, I've got to look into this in more detail, and I've got to do a video on it, talking about it, because are we in for another big Doctor Who hiatus now, especially now that Russell T Davies has exited by the seams of it, and the Christmas special has now been pulled, meaning that at the moment, we've got no form of Doctor Who coming in the future, a bit like what happened in 1989 when the plug was pulled at the end of Survival. We've got no Doctor Who content coming. This is it. We are in another hiatus, people, by the seams of it, and I cannot believe it. Well, I can believe it, because like I said, the show has been going gradually downhill over the last couple of years, and you know, we thought that RTD coming back was going to save the show. We thought, oh yes, you know, back when Christopher Eccleston and David Tennant .1, you know, were the main doctors and RTD had his first run and the show was at its highest, you know, we thought, how could it possibly go wrong? But now it seems like it's gotten to the lowest it could possibly go, to the point of being pulled. Like I said, there was a gradual decline with each Doctor. I know some people say post Matt Smith, so even including Capaldi, but for me, post Capaldi, although I have really grown on Jodie Whittaker. But we can all agree that the last season of Capaldi onwards, there's been a slow decline in viewing figures, and more people have been complaining about it. So it was inevitable that this was coming. But the news was announced, and I'm looking at the BBC website now. BBC cancels Doctor Who Christmas special, and Russell T Davies announces exit. And we've got the image of Billie Piper saying, the last series of Doctor Who that aired in May 2025, so over a year ago now, concluded with a surprise appearance from Billie Piper. And that's what annoys me more than anything, is that image right there sums up the problems, and that image right there is going to haunt us forever, because now that is probably 100% guaranteed, never going to be explained. We're going to have to brush that under the carpet, and if Doctor Who ever comes back, they're not going to mention that at all, and that's really annoying. So, a new Christmas special of Doctor Who has been cancelled while the BBC plans the next phase of the sci-fi show. The corporation announced last year that there would be a festive special in 2026, but confirmed on Wednesday, so today, that this will no longer proceed. Instead, the broadcaster invited production companies to put themselves forward to help co-produce the next series. Showrunner Russell T Davies also confirmed he will leave the long-running programme, writing on Instagram that it is goodbye from me, but hello to a big new future of the show. Referring to the announcement of the Christmas special, he explained, we only cooked that up to guarantee a future when no one knew what would happen, but now we do know. There's no need for it. You'll have to wait a bit longer for new Doctor Who, but you'll be waiting for more Doctor Who than a one-off, so it's worth it. For the record, there was no script, I never wrote it, and no actor was ever approached to play the next Doctor. In a statement, the corporation said that the decision to cancel the Christmas episode was made after careful consideration and had not been taken lightly. Now that really annoys me, because that sums up RTD to the letter lately. No forward thinking, no forward planning, and it is such a fall from grace, and it's so disappointing and so annoying. The fact that there was apparently no script, never wrote a script, never had any ideas, yet was talking about it constantly, yet people were saying that filming's going to happen, that we were going to get a Christmas special. Why make these promises if you're not going to keep them? You're just going to annoy the fan base, and I know this is going to annoy the fan base. This is going to disappoint so many people, and it is just another cog in the wheel of the disappointment train that RTD has brought since he came back in 2023, and now is bailed. You know, run the show to the ground and then bail, it seems like. And that is really annoying. And yeah, we're going to be waiting a long time for Doctor Who. Sure, it might be worth it in the end, RTD, but that's not what we were expecting. We were expecting answers, because now we're going to have an era that is even more disconnected than ever before, because now we are unsure whether the next showrunner will pick up anything that you left off. whether we're going to get answers to the things like the boss. You know, are we going to get answers to anything like that? I personally don't think we are. And you've left the show now where you could have ended it on an open-ended regeneration, faded to black. You've now got Billie Piper's face thrown in at the end, and we're probably never going to get answers to that, and that is just so annoying. The last series of Doctor Who aired in May 2025 and was the final one to star Ncuti Gatwa, who had announced he was leaving after 2 series. The finale saw his Doctor regenerate, and the episode closed with the surprise reintroduction of Billie Piper, who previously played Rose Tyler in the show. It was not clear whether that meant Piper would become the next Doctor, and the BBC only said at the time that just how and why she is back remains to be seen. It's never going to be answered. And it might be. I'm not going to say never, but I don't believe it will. Since 2023, Doctor Who has been co-produced by Cardiff-based production company Bad Wolf, while the BBC struck a deal with Disney Plus to co-produce and distribute the show internationally. But Disney's involvement came to an end in 2025 after 26 episodes, and it was confirmed the company would no longer be involved with the show. Honestly, the Disney era of the show, I'm just not a massive fan of it. I mean, I've got them all behind me there. Even the War Between the Land and the Sea Steelbook, I've literally only got for completion's sake, and I apologise, and I'm so sorry to anyone and everyone who is still yet to be able to watch the War Between the Land and the Sea. That is the biggest shambles I think I've ever seen. That there's still a lot of people who haven't been able to see it or have had to turn to other methods in order to see it. It's ridiculous at this point. So pushing forward, what will the future hold for the show? So on Wednesday, the BBC gave more details of Doctor Who's next era and said it had collectively decided, along with Davis and Bad Wolf, not to go ahead with the planned Christmas episode. The decision was not taken lightly, and we know it will be disappointing for fans. Absolutely devastating for fans when we were promised a Christmas special. But in order to set the show up for the future, it was decided, rather than bridge the gap with a one-off special, no, I think that would have been fine to bridge the gap. We are choosing to push forward to invest in the long-term future of the show, which ensures that when the TARDIS lands once more, it does so in all its glory. The BBC said that the plan was part of securing the next phase of the show for future generations. I honestly don't believe it anymore, because we've had so many promises that have not been kept that I don't even know if I believe that anymore. A spokesperson said that the programme remains an important part of the BBC, and the decision to put the show out to competitive tender underpins the BBC's continued commitment to Doctor Who. The BBC noted that putting the series out to tender was in line with the corporation's charter and agreement requirements. In his Instagram post, Davis said he was as excited as anyone to see what comes next. He added, will they keep the same theme tune? Will they lose the blue box? Will they bring back the Dravin? Oh God, no. It's all up for grabs, which is so Doctor Who, exciting and unpredictable and new. Here comes the future. A previously announced new Doctor Who animation series for CBeebies remains in production. Doctor Who originally ran from 1962 to 1989. 1963 technically, but yeah, okay, yeah. But was revived by Davis in 2005 with Christopher Eccleston in the lead role. Since then, David Tennant, Matt Smith, Peter Capaldi, and Jodie Whittaker have played the Doctor under showrunners including Davis, Moffat, and Chris Chibnall. Davis returned to the series as showrunner in 2022 and oversaw the show during the David Tennant era and the Ncuti Gatwa era. So yeah, pushing forward, we do still apparently have this CBB show, although I'm again up in arms. Is that actually going to happen now? Or is that going to end up being pulled or cancelled since everything else is being pulled? I'm wondering now the fact that BBC has basically cancelled Doctor Who temporarily or permanently, who knows at this point, at the moment. Does that mean that War Between the Land and the Sea is less likely to come out now internationally? What's going to happen there? There's going to be less interest, I think, in that now, knowing that at the moment there's nothing coming. Will the CBB show even continue to happen? And if so, what's it going to be like? I don't know. And like I said, I'm just unsure now, and I'm so frustrated, and I hate being negative about my favourite show on the planet, because I adore Doctor Who in all its forms, all the way from William Hartnell. There's even aspects of the Ncuti Gatwa era that I absolutely adore, and I do like episodes such as The Well and Lux and Devil's Cord and Boom. I love those episodes, they're fantastic. And visually at times it was really good. But I just think script-wise, there was plot holes, destruction of legacy characters, so many plot threads left unchecked that it just became a bit of a shambled mess. And this again is another shambled mess. You know, with more mistakes being made, more promises not being kept, frustration, and now again we have got a regeneration, a bit like when David Tennant popped back up at the end of Jodie's last story, The Power of the Doctor. A WTF moment that we don't know, well, this time we don't know if ever it's going to be answered, and, you know, by RTD's own acclaim, you know, he's unsure himself. You know, he's even saying, will they keep the theme tune? Will they lose the blue box? You know, it just shows that they don't really know. And ensuring that when the TARDIS lands once more, it does so in all its glory. So that just goes to show that Billie Piper really was a last-minute, you know, addition to this. And they had no intention of going ahead with her. And I wonder how Billie feels about all this as well, if I'm being perfectly honest. I would love to see her come out and talk about it in a little bit more detail. Because, yeah, it is just insane. And I'm both shocked and also not shocked at the same time. But, yeah, it's all over, folks. At least for now, Doctor Who is at an end. It truly is an end of an era. And I cannot believe I'm saying that yet again. Can we just please, when Doctor Who does come back, if it ever comes back, can we get it right? Because I am so frustrated that my favourite show is being messed around like this. It's loads of thousands, millions of people's favourite show, and they're just going to be as frustrated as I am, if not more so. So it is just distressing to see this. But yeah, that is going to be my initial thoughts. I might do some more in-depth talks in the future about the future of the show. But this is just my initial reaction, my initial read of the BBC News article about the cancellation of the Christmas special and RTD's exit. I hope you did enjoy this video. If you did, please like it by giving it a thumbs up and comment down below your thoughts on this latest news about Doctor Who's cancellation. But let's remember to keep all comments respectful, please. And subscribe if you are new. But for now, this is the Nerdy Grail signing off. I hope you've had an amazing day, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye for now, everyone.